Hello and welcome to the tip. Today I would like to talk a little bit about the connection between residential school and attachment and family violence. And the more and more I learn about what our needs are developmentally and what the needs of children are developmentally, especially, um, the more I'm able to sort of make the connection between what was lost on so many generations through the process of residential school and where where we find ourselves today in terms of some of the social difficulties that we have. Um, and it's interesting to me because residential school it's a delicate and sensitive area, and it's something that I never thought I would address in a tip, but it just felt natural to write about it based on what I'm learning, and so here I am. One of the things about residential school is that, and probably the most damaging thing of all, aside from all of the physical and sexual abuse that happened, was the ripping away of children from their parents and from their attachments, and the emotional and psychological damage that caused. Um, and to further that, what children weren't provided with in residential school compounded it significantly. So we had children, and consequently, research and I've read quite a few reports that show that some of the older kids um, seem to fare better. They were able to hold on to their families and their culture and anything that they'd been taught and their memories of their family while in residential school because they were old enough to do so, and that this shielded them to some extent. Whereas for the younger children, um, their their brain wasn't able to help them hold on, and so it was wounding that was just too much to bear for them, and they couldn't hold on to their families, and so the impact was far greater. Regardless, I mean, it was wounding across the board for everybody, and including the parents that were left at home. Um, but the physical separation, first of all, would have been too much to bear, um, compounded by not being invited to exist in the eyes of the people running the residential schools. So there was no unconditional invitation. Children were made to believe that anything about who they were, their identity, was unacceptable, and that everything had to change, including their language. Um, and to compound that further, there was really no place, there was no safe adult for children to attach to where they could have their emotions. The movement of emotions where children are concerned, it's such an integral part of us growing up to be mature, fully functioning, healthy, balanced adults. If there is no one there that has creates a safe place for us to have our sadness, to have our fear, and to help us move those emotions through us, we do become defended and callous in many respects. And so we had these kids, that were attached to each other. They were raising each other. They had lost their soft hearts for survival purposes because that's just what it's a function of the brain. That's what our brain does to protect us. And and then there was all this abuse that was happening. And one of the other things that happened that was so tragic was that um, the sexualization of touch, and touch is such a preeminent need. We all um, need contact and closeness, especially little children. And so this was actually sexualized in residential school and became normalized to some extent. And so the touch that was so needed had turned into something that was damaging and inappropriate, where children had to keep secrets that divided them and carry so much shame. And so what I've come to notice is that when I am talking about the developmental needs of children in terms of the need for contact and closeness, the need for feeling sameness with those that they're attached to, the need for belonging and loyalty, um, to feel like someone is on their side, the need to feel significant as if they matter, that they're unique, that they're important, the need for love, to feel as if we can give our heart away to somebody. children need this, and they reach that milestone at around the age of 5, and then ultimately the need to feel known and understood. When I start to introduce what's called the attachment roots, and this comes from the work of Dr. Gordon Neufeld, who is my teacher and is brilliant, and I've learned so very much from him, and I'm so grateful. Um, I find that the elders in the room become very quiet and they're listening very intently and sometimes shedding some tears. And I think it just resonates in such a deep place in them that they're able to say, wow, I didn't get any of that when I was growing up. And so for many of them, their journey toward healing came later in life. And their contact and closeness with their families came later in life. And I mean, I think it's so hopeful. I see so many good and positive things happening. But what I think is so important, my interpretation is that we continue to learn from what happened in residential school from our elders, because our elders can attest to the effect of not having their emotional needs met. And this is information for us today in our communities and in our parenting, so that we can really remember the cost of withholding these things from our children, whether it's intentional or not intentional. And I know for me, my parenting journey has unexpectedly taken me down a road of immense healing for my own self. Um, and it has only been through my rising to the challenge to be the provider of my children's needs so that they can develop. It's been this parallel process, and it's been really incredible. And it applies to all my relationships across the board. But if we can just remember and hold on to the fact that our relationships, our attachment needs are preeminent um, before anything. The brain only comes to rest when those needs are being fulfilled. And if the needs aren't fulfilled, the attachment energy still comes out and it goes somewhere. It may not go to another person, but it's going to go somewhere. Social media, addictions, overeating, shopping. There's so many different directions it can go. It can get really, really confused. And if there's wounding there, all sorts of other manifestations can happen, and I've written about that in the article. So I hope you enjoyed this article. I hope you know that I want you to know that I wrote it and shared it with a good mind and a good heart with the best of intentions. And I just felt the need to address it. It's been on my mind. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope you get something out of it. Bye.